In the middle of Burkina Faso's dry season, a group of student volunteers made a discovery that would rewrite history. While digging through the ruins of an old French military outpost, they found a sealed trapdoor buried under layers of dust and time. When they opened it, they uncovered dozens of old wooden boxes filled with more than 200 handwritten letters. Each one was written by African soldiers who had fought for France during World War II, in Indochina, and in Algeria. These men had written to their families, mothers, wives, children, but none of the letters had ever reached home. They had been hidden away, their words silenced for decades. When President Ibrahim Traoré heard about the discovery, he didn't call a press conference or issue a political statement. He went quietly to the site, sat among the letters, and spent hours reading them. After a long silence, he said only one line: "If these words were once too dangerous to be heard, then the world needs to hear them now." Within a week, all the letters were published online. France reacted with caution, but ordinary people began to recognize names. Families started connecting the dots, realizing that their grandparents' forgotten comrades had been African soldiers whose stories were never told. The letters carried deep pain and honesty. One soldier wrote about freezing nights in Alsace, wondering if his home still existed. Another described saving wounded soldiers in Algeria, only to be denied entry into the officers' tents because of his race. One letter said simply, "I died as a soldier, but not as a citizen." These weren't just war letters. They were confessions of men who fought for freedom but never received it themselves. Traoré decided that these voices should not remain buried. He launched an initiative called Letters That Lived, a project to return each letter to the family it was meant for, translate them into multiple languages, and archive them with UNESCO. He didn't ask for reparations or apologies. He said, "We are not seeking guilt. We are seeking recognition." Across Burkina Faso, something began to change. Radio stations read one letter every night. Schools dedicated an entire week to telling the stories behind them. Elders who had been silent for decades began sharing medals and memories they had kept hidden. For the first time, the country wasn't just remembering history, it was reclaiming it. Then came a moment that moved both nations. In France, an elderly woman in Marseille found an unopened letter in her late father's belongings. It was addressed to "My dear Fatoumata," and contained a photo of a young African soldier standing beside a French child. She said, "My mother once told me a soldier saved our lives. I never knew he was African." The photograph spread across newspapers and social media, and it changed everything. Suddenly, this was not about politics or blame. It was about humanity, about reconnecting two sides of a broken story. Traoré refused to turn it into a political issue. Instead, he organized an international gathering called the Meeting of Forgotten Regiments. There were no flags, no speeches, no national anthems, only names, stories, and letters being read aloud. Families from Africa and France stood side by side, remembering soldiers who had been erased from both histories. During the event, Traoré read one letter aloud. "I fought in your war, and now I fight with my memory. Don't let my children forget me." The crowd fell silent. A French woman stepped forward holding the same photograph found in Marseille. She said, "My family told stories of a man who saved my grandfather's life. Now I know his name." Traoré walked down and embraced her. No words were needed. Weeks later, he published his own letter titled "The Right to be Remembered." In it, he wrote, "No soldier should be anonymous. No sacrifice should be buried in silence. History is not the property of the powerful. It belongs to those